everybody, how's it going? I just want to mention at the beginning, before we even get started on this one, it's a pretty long video, rather lengthy, boring details on how to build a canvas. You don't have to watch that. Just fast forward to the end. That's the great thing about the internet. But for those that have reached out to me, I've had 4 or 5 actually Higgins owners reach out to me and say that they don't have canvases, or that they were thinking about building a canvas, and how I go about it and that kind of thing. So rather than kind of email each one of those people individually and send them little clips, we're just going to run this in its entirety. If you don't want to watch it, I understand. It's rather boring work, but sometimes the boring work is required to get the job done. I don't talk about stitches and putting in zippers and things like that, but more of like how my thought process is and kind of how I start piecing things on to actually put it together. I wish I'd have known some of these little things when I started our 65 Apache Raven. I built it from scratch as well, and I didn't have a pattern to go off of. I am super thankful I have a pattern. I had a pattern for this one to go off of. I don't know if I'd been able to complete it as quickly as I did. I still have about, I think, 2.5 weeks in it, working on it pretty much for 5 hours every night. So it's a lengthy process, it's a worthy process, and if you're gonna attempt one, I wish you all the best, and you can certainly email me if you have questions about how to do it. And we'll go into more of the polishing details and things like that on the next video. We have some things we learned not to do along the way, so by all means, I want to share those with you so you don't make the same mistakes we did. With that, we're gonna jump into the video. Again, don't wanna watch it, not gonna offend me, just fast forward to the end. All right, everybody, thanks. Hey everybody, how's it going? Kind of got a little case of the liens there. Sorry about that. We're parked on a hill here, but it was the closest thing to the hose. So we've got it hosed off. The boys spent some time out here and vinegar bathed it and then soaped in water on the whole trailer. And then took 600 grit sandpaper around it. And you can kind of see some of the areas starting to come back. Let me walk you around. So that's just 600 by hand, no sander. Kind of hard to see in camera, but starting to get a little sheen there in the front and on that front door. And then kind of one hit with the Zephyr wheel. This is the first wheel, and you do 3 steps. I don't know if you can see the reflection in that or not. Probably can if I walk by it. There we go. Starting to get a little bit of a shine. Especially back here. So I think we're going to be able to do it, which is going to be awesome. I've got to find a tire replacement for these awesome and amazing bias plies. These are 16-inch wheels, but hopefully we can find a replacement tire. Hey Maggie, walk past right here so I can get your reflection. Come here. Come here, Maggie. Good girl. So we'll hunt some taillights down. I think I'm gonna. So I'm thinking about going with the kind of the original look taillight rather than using those ones I'd found, just to try to kind of get it back to where it was. Still got to hit out this corner here. But yeah, even the name starting to pop out. So it's gonna, I think it's gonna come back just fine. There was a painted logo right here. You can just barely see it. So I'm gonna try and hand paint that back in on the sides. We'll see. And then of course the pen striping is now mostly gone where we've sanded on it. So we'll put that back as well. And I'm gonna go back red on that. That's what it was originally. So it's coming along. Let me take you inside and show you what I have done on a canvas. Well, here's the workstation among all the toys. But I have the canvas cut for everything, I think, except for maybe a few odds and ends, little pieces. This is the front panel. I'm getting ready to start it. That's so far what I have left over for scrap, except for the 2 rolled up pieces back there, that is my roof line. One panel of the door, which is the solid portion, is assembled and ready to go. So I have the zippers installed and everything's ready to go on that one. So basically there's a flap that comes over the zipper on the front, and there's a flap that comes over the zipper on the back. So you have to, I sewed this wrong 3 times and had to rip it out. But I think it's gonna sew just fine. I wish I had moved my zipper in a little bit on this. But I always like to give myself extra room because this stuff does not stretch or flex. So I always kind of go a little wide, a little bigger than I need to. So if I need to, I can now move that zipper, the black that you're seeing there, I can move it out to my outer edge. So that gains me a 1/2 inch. So for right now, I'm going to leave it. It's straight stitching. It looks good. I decided to go with a contrasting thread because that's what was originally on it. So we did contrasting thread just because the boys thought it looked better. And I think once the tent's all together, it'll kind of break up the monotony of it too. So we did white. And I'm going to pay for that because all my stitching has to be straight. So I'm going to be doing some ripping out, guarantee it. And everything will be sewed on the old Singer industrial machine. I've talked about this machine before on the channel. There is no better sewing machine than this one. This is an AE model. It is old, about the time the camper was made. This guy had been manufactured, so it's kind of cool that we're sewing with it. I'm going to start it up just so you can hear it. It sounds like it's way more powerful than it actually is. Yeah, you know it's a good machine when you have to add oil to it when you sew with it. But I'll be sewing everything on that, and hopefully I can make it look like something. So let's get busy kind of assembling some of these pieces. I have gone around with a hot knife and hit all the edges of this fabric. That's the nice thing about it. You can cut it with a hot knife. You can treat the edges with a hot knife so that it doesn't unravel, and then you get a working piece. So that saves you a lot of seaming and hemming and that kind of thing. Somebody did ask what the flex is of this, and it's pretty much 0. Like if you're planning on cutting your pattern close and then being able to pull it over a spot that's going to be a little bit tight, that's not going to happen. This stuff has pretty much 0 stretch flex in it, but that's part of the beauty of it, is it's not going to change. In the lifetime of the 2 canvases I have built using it, actually I've built more than that, but on the 2 that I own, my bus and the Apache, they have not changed in the 5 or 6 years they've been on those pieces of equipment. And the other thing is this has an 8-year warranty. The wax canvas does not. I think it's 3. So 8 years is quite a while for this thing to last, and I think it'll last a lot longer than that. So let's get busy getting some stitches in it. So that's after I pinned it and ran it through the machine. I pinned it, ran it through the machine on one of them, took the pins out, and then ran it through another pass. And just tried to keep it relatively even on both sides of what overlapped so that we could make sure that, you see how it's kind of starting to get that little wrinkle there. It kind of wants to walk on you a little bit, so the fabrics kind of want to walk together. So you kind of got to fight that a little bit, but once we've got it on the tent itself and it's taut and pulled tight, it'll be just fine. So I'm going to move that one over, and we're going to try to sew a couple of the window frame pieces. They have a white material around them. And I was trying to get my mom to figure out what it was. We couldn't figure out what it was, but we think we're close. Of course, I called Mom, and she had this whole thing. So it's probably about enough to get the entire trailer done. And it was free. And I've decided to reuse the O-ring hardware that was on the window sashes and on the add-a-room piece that was on there. These are aluminum, and they're in fine shape. There's nothing wrong with them. I just took a wire wheel, cleaned them up a little bit, And I've already got two of the other two windows done. I'm on to the last one, but I'm just going through and cutting these off. Hit them with a wire wheel and putting them back on. There's no sense buying something I don't need to. I kind of hate to cut them off of there, but we're not using the canvas anyway. Might as well use something out of it, right? This is the back panel that's on. So as you come in the front door of the tent camper, it's the one straight back on the hitch side of the trailer. And they only had access apparently to 36-inch wide material because all of the patterns are made to where they fit on a 36-inch bolt. We have the advantage of 60 wide, so I can get this piece, which should be two pieces, into one piece. However, there's a seam down the middle where those two pieces were sewn together, and I want to mimic that. On the other ones, I'll have to get one of those out and show you. I just ran a piece from top to bottom and stitched it on top to make it look like it was 36 inches. But I also made those out of one piece. So that allows some strength to come into the canvas that wasn't there before. But what I'm going to try doing on this one, rather than running a strip down the middle, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but I'm going to sew a seam down the middle and then flatten it on each side and stitch down it and see if we can't get this same look mimicked. So where they've got that seam running up the middle there. But I definitely want to keep it one panel. One, it'll be easier to sew in, I think, and two, it's just going to add stability to the camper, or to the canvas, I guess I should say. So yeah, this is the last window I have left to do. The other two are done. This is all the tedious work. All those little hooks have to be put on, and then that flap has to get sewn on, and then there's a trim piece that goes around the flap, and yeah, a lot of work in these window panels. So this is kind of what I had in mind for that seam, making it kind of look like it was a piece together. I'm going to sew about an inch past the middle and then flatten it out. And I think if I just stitch right along the edge of both sides, it'll give it that look that I'm after without compromising anything. And the other thing is, if I need some width, you know, because a canvas when it's on the machine off, a canvas when it's that duck canvas, it tends to want to shrink down with age. And so in case we're a little bit off on our measurement, we could always take the stitch out and give ourselves an inch and a half, 2 inches, something like that. So I think obviously we'd have to redo the window portion of it. We'll see. So that seems to have worked out pretty well. When I was piecing it in on the other ones, I had trouble keeping this from kind of expanding. So that's kind of why I came up with this idea for this one, since it's a bigger panel. And that worked out really well. And then I just went with a hot knife beside on the window, just cut it with a razor or a X-Acto blade in my hot knife and cut it. Then when I put the screen in, we'll stitch that section again to the screen. So I think that's gonna work out okay. It looks the part, and then cutting out the window wasn't too big of a pain. So I think it's gonna work. So I need to go around and pin this border, this hem or seam, this edge of the window, and then get the screen in there. Yeah, I just thought I'd mention, I just used a cardboard pattern for all the windows. They are all the same. So I just traced one of them. I took the screen out of one of them so that I could trace it, and then trace the screen and traced it onto a piece of cardboard or heavyweight paper. It's not really cardboard. And then folded it in half both ways so that I could get the corners all the same. And that's what I used, so that all my windows should be really, well, at least they started out the same. Let's put it that way. So yeah, that's how I kind of figured out where the window needs to go. Getting ready to sew the roofline pieces. So these two are the length, of our roofline. And I've got to make this seam at full length of the roofline. This is a flat felled seam. I didn't do a great job on my little demo here. I was trying to show you a cross section. Hang on. There we go. So you sew the two pieces together with an offset. Something like that. So just run the machine down, and then you tuck this in and fold over. Kind of like the seam that is on the side of your pair of jeans. Your favorite pair of jeans. So that's what we're going to do the full length. The reason I'm going with this is because I've built the Apache canvas that we have. And I did a flat felt seam on the roof and it has never leaked. So I know this works. Rather than going with just a fold over and a stitch, we're going to do this. It's kind of a pain because I have to basically sew the roof line 3 times, but it won't leak. Well, there's the roof line all kind of laid out there. I've got one more piece cut that we have to then lay on top of this and stitch down. But I'm gonna strike a line. So I rolled that one out so I can strike a line. Maggie usually, she just gave me the eyebrow, usually is laying on my pieces because she thinks I'm making her a bed. And then on the machine, I have to feed from this side through. So this is where it starts to get complicated in this tiny space, but we're working with what we've got. So let me get a line struck on that and get that roof line sewed together, and we'll throw that on the trailer. Well, it only feels like about a mile of fabric. But it's really only about 200 inches or so. It's gonna feel like a lot more than that going through the machine though. Well, that looks a little different than it did a few days ago. Aaron has diligently worked on polishing and trying to bring back some of that shine to the aluminum. And he's done a great job. The Higgins name is now clearly visible on the back, which of course you don't see when the trailer gate is down, but looks good going down the road anyway. And then the side that he started on first is over here. And it looks awesome. Like the reflection in the grass up there looks really good. So we're to the point now, I've got all the panels sewn on the canvas, and I need to come out here and throw the roof line on so that we can start then pinning up the side panels so that we kind of know where to put snaps and things like that. I have a rough idea, but I don't want to hem the bottom of the trailer, or sorry, the bottom of the canvas until I have it on the trailer. I want to make sure we get those snaps lined up because I am not replacing these. I'm just adding snaps to the canvas. So in order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and replace these straps. So let's pull one of these off. We'll pull one off to get our pattern and leave the other two on so that the poles are where they're supposed to be. But they have a piece sewed, so there's two straps here, a piece sewed, and then this one has a third one coming down, and they've just got a screw through those. So at each pole separation, there's just a little piece sewed on and then a screw. But they didn't hot knife their edges. We're gonna hot knife the edges and try to make it where they don't come unraveled. So we need to go in and kind of polish up all this hardware. And I don't know if I'll be able to reuse those ends or not. We're gonna try. Probably can buy those somewhere. May just have to buy those, but anyway, we're gonna pull this off, polish it up, build one of those, and actually I'll probably just go ahead and build all 3 of them, and then we'll come out and replace those, and we're ready to throw some canvas on this thing. But it takes a little effort, but the hardware is definitely worth saving. So I'm going from that to that. Kind of hard getting down in there, but it's coming back pretty good. Pretty happy with the fact I've been able to save all of it so far. And we're missing one of these buckles and one of these clips. So I'm gonna have to come up with something to replace one of those, and we'll also be missing one of those. So, have to dig through my stash, see what I can find. Yeah, I had a casualty. I went to take that one off, and it was just too far gone. So we lost one, and we're missing one. So I gotta find two of them. So I will be watching garage sales and auctions for those little suckers. Hit it with a light coat of oil, kind of hopefully preserve it. Came back pretty good. The ends, these little ends that are the military style, they're rounded with the pinch crimp area on the edges. Those are $4 a piece. And they're not available anywhere except I found them on eBay for $4 a piece. So I don't want to put just a straight end on it, because I think that looks better. It's a piece that really doesn't matter. But I am going to go ahead and hammer off the old ones and put them back on. It's funny because I didn't notice before, but it looks like there are two different buckles on this thing. One that goes in the bed, that holds the bed up, looks like it's different than the two that go on the center. So this is one of the ones that comes in off of the edge into the center. I'll show you what I mean by that later, but that's what we've got when I polish up all the hardware and kind of clean them up a bit. So, one done. What have I got? 9 more to go? I got the straps all changed. We are missing, like I said, 2 ends on the end of it. And then one of the buckles on the longer straps I had to kind of make do with something I dug around and found. So I was missing this entire setup here. So that buckle was brass. I painted it silver. And then I had one of these, which really isn't the same thing, but similar. So for now, until we can find one of those, kind of looks the same from the back. Similar. But I'll keep my eyes out. We'll find one of those buckles. Yeah, I think the hardware turned out pretty good. Cleaned up really nice. So I'm happy with how that turned out. Now if we can just get the rest of it to look like that, we got something. Yeah, it's good having that all done. And I want to get those in before I got the tarp on, just so we know where our stretch is going to be. So I think we're all good. I feel like I need a finish washer around that though. Kind of weird there's no washer. I took the heat gun and actually put a hole with the little gun. I have a tip that I can put on it that is like a nail tip. Okay. Really sharp point. And so I actually burned the holes that the screws go through so that they hopefully won't unravel. And then I treated all of the ends with the hot knife. Hopefully they don't cause us any problems. So that task is done. Now we get to come out here and fit the canvas. Yeah, it fits. And the one before did not have the seam in the middle. It was split up. So I do like it better with just a single seam in the middle. It's wanting to kind of collapse in on itself. You can see the poles are, we're getting a little bit of a swag here because these clips are not attached to the wings, the sides. Let's see if I can demonstrate here. So if I pull on those, see how that makes it a little bit tighter up there? It's hard to see. So hopefully I'll be able to kind of guesstimate without having the beds on here. I may have to put the beds on to finish it off. But yeah, it turned out okay. I got a few strings I need to cut. My center is actually in the center, so that's nice. And then the overhang here, the way that they kind of did it is on the old canvases, they kind of just made some tucks and folds there to come into the other. So I think we're ready to kind of start piecing on. Let me back up a little bit. I think we're ready to kind of start piecing on the other panels. But I'm gonna have to come up with a way, maybe hang a weight. I can just hang a weight off of those to pull that down. Figure out where the bed will come out. and make it even with that. Seems like it's worse on this side. I don't know why, but anyway. And then the metal prep, I don't know if you can see, that side kind of has this haze to it. It's not really perfect. There's a whiteness. I don't know if it's showing up or not very well on camera, but I spent some time, Erin has done the lion's share of this, but I spent some time right here, and this one looked exactly like that, this corner here. So I think it's gonna come back to that. And then I also worked right here on this front door area. So I think, and this is just the initial cut. So that's just the first wheel. And there are 2 more steps after that. So I think it's gonna come back really nice. But yeah, let me just keep kind of piecing this thing together on the canvas side of it. And I'll bring you back when we kind of got a little bit more than we do now. I wanted to kind of see what one of those was going to look like. I think it looks pretty close to the old one. Obviously this will get pulled so that that's straight. Pretty close. Just the color that's off. I need to call this company and have them try to make me a drab green. It almost looks teal in the camera, but it's not. It's like it's a dark forest green. I don't know why it looks kind of teal in camera. It's just kind of weird. Inside these is that Roman shade, so I reused all those. I mentioned that, and I went ahead and put the seam in the screen because that's the way it was originally. And these get a rod put in them. I kept all the original rods, so it'll just go whoop, up like that. I like it. I'm really glad I stuck with the old border piece on there. I think that really adds to the vintage vibe. So I've been kind of toying around with the idea of how we're going to kind of figure out where these go. And I think the only solution is to just put the beds back on. So I'm going to have to go get something to drill these out and find a hinge setup that'll work and go from there. We're not quite done polishing yet, but I think we need to probably put them back on at this point. And one of them has a pretty good warp in it, so I need to put them on and not use rivets to put them on. That is one disadvantage of this trailer. Every single thing is riveted on, and they didn't use like the pop rivets like we use today. They use stuff that you cannot get off. So we'll try and drill these out, and then we'll use some kind of bolt and nut setup so that we can take them back off. So let me go figure out what we're gonna do for putting some hinges on this thing and get a door on here. They're not very heavy, they're just kind of awkward. They're pretty lightweight. But I think I'm gonna put, this one's pretty straight. It's got a little bit of a warp right there. But this one's pretty good. The other one's got a little bit of a warp in it, so I'm gonna go put, I think, just take a rope and go around it. Put a piece of wood or something against the side panel and just Bloomfield jack it back. By Bloomfield jack, I mean high lift jack. In this area, we call them Bloomfield jacks. That jack right there. So I think that's what we're gonna have to do. Throw a bed on it, and that way we can ratchet all of these straps down and really know where we're going with the canvas. The canvas, I want it to be pretty tight, and I don't see any other way to do that except just get a bed back on. So this is the other bed. You can see, not real well, but get it out where you can see it against the grass there. You can see how right at the end it kind of flips up. And it does the same thing at the end I'm standing on. So I think just got a little bit of a warp to it. I think if we just put a jack at the 2 points where it appears that the bend happens, so right here and right down there, I think we could get that out of there. When you lay it flat, you can see the gap is mostly on this end. We've got a toe strap around it. Hopefully that's long enough. We'll put the jacks. I think I'm gonna put the jack about right there. See if we can get it to. We'll have to go past it just a little bit to push it down, and then when we have the jack off, it'll spring back a little bit. Yeah. What's the worst that could happen? Don't answer that. May have to shorten my tow rope a little bit more. It's working though. I'm gonna run out of. I don't know if 3 more clicks are gonna get me where I need to be. Because like I said, we're gonna get some spring back. Yeah, we'll keep going. Click or 2, see what happens. We gave it 1 more click and now we're lifting off over here. So I think we might have it. Let's drop it down and we'll see what happens. We may have to put it down here on this end and kind of straighten that out too. I know we might have got it though. Let's let her loose. I'll let the puppy in because she's getting hot. And we'll see what we get. You hot, Maggie? Want a drink? Okay, let's go. Yeah, I got a little bit of a bobble. I don't know if you can see it. Right in the middle. But overall, it's better. I'm gonna live with it because this stuff is soft. You start bending on it. Right here is where I kind of messed up a little bit. The 1 click, went 1 click too far. But I can live with that. That's fairly straight. And I think it'll be just fine. So I'm planning to kind of just spend the next 2 days fitting all of this canvas on here. And it had an overhang of about 18, 19 inches, so it's gonna come about where my fingers are, right there. So about 11 inches of that will get cut off. And then I wanted to get the door on because I need to kind of know where this zipper needs to end itself, and it's pretty close where I've got it sitting right now. It needs to come up about a 1/2 inch. And then that'll tuck under the bed. They thought of everything though. There were some little hooks on the bottom of the trailer, and those just spin around and hook your arms that support your bed. I had to add a little freeall to it, but they worked. So that's what we have, and once this is all pulled down where it's supposed to be, I think it's gonna be good. I can't believe I nailed it on the first try. That never happens. My seam there is even in the middle. Yeah, I usually have to go back at least once on things like this. More like 3 or 4 times. And here, I've gone a little proud on this side because when we pull this down with our side bed piece that we're going to be putting on, so that's going to pull down a little bit. When I do that, it wants to pull that one down on both of the side poles. So I think where I have it now is pretty much where it needs to be. So I am going to mark with my trusty pencil X's where I had my lines before to kind of give me a rough guide. And I was off by quite a bit there, so I'm going to go through and mark where those need to go. Go ahead and pin where we can pin it while it's on the trailer. Just makes it a lot easier to keep the curve and the roundedness of it. And then we can go all together. Just thought I'd mention real quick, we've got to come up with a solution for hinges, and this is not a good one. These are stainless steel. That'd be great. They look awesome when you shut the door. The door will actually shut with those on there. But yeah, we've just got it temporarily up there with 3 of those. The original ones are these. This is a full swaged on a single side hinge. So it's I think it's called a single full swage hinge. Yeah, so it's offset and it lays flat. So you can buy these weld-on hinges. That's awesome. I can put the holes anywhere I want them. I can offset the hinge. That's awesome. But then the hinge won't lay flat. So this is an offset, just weld-on hinge. It's exactly what I need, except it won't lay flat. If I take the pin out and flip it back the other way where it does lay flat, it will work. So I'm probably gonna have to use something like that. The dilemma has been created because we lost one of these, or we never had it. My son was with me when we took these off. I don't know if I've misplaced it, he's misplaced it. I thought we had 6 of them. I am not finding it. So I'm gonna clean these up. We're gonna reuse them. And then we're just gonna put a flat, one of those weld-on steel ones. I'll drill holes in it and we'll use it for the one we're missing. We'll put it in the middle. The door will shut with a straight hinge on. So that's what these stainless ones are. And they're a little bit smaller and the maximum weight is not as high as the steel one. So I think we're just gonna reuse them all. We'll treat them with oil or paint them black or something so they all kind of look the same. But yeah, apparently in 1946 that was something you could just go buy. Not so much anymore. Good luck finding those. Yeah, it's really starting to take shape now. The back panel of the canvas is on. I feel like I'm a little bit on the roof line, a little bit rolled in right here, or down a little bit further, so I probably need to go over on the other side and pull it over a little bit. Just feels like we're kind of running downhill. But everything lines up where it's supposed to be. And I'm liking the look of it a lot. It definitely has that vintage vibe. That is a lot of material. There's a little less than 30 yards. I ordered 30 yards of this, and I've got 2.5 yards left, and I have hardly any scrap, because anything like this stuff here, I've gone back in and tried to use the stuff that I had cut off of the other areas. There's a little bit of a wrinkle right there, but I think when I pull to snap it, it's gonna pull it right out. So I think that will go away. I am gonna go get a ruler, cloth tape though, and measure right there. I feel like this point is down further than the other ones. Maybe it's not. Sometimes it's an optical illusion, but it also looks like the fabric here kind of runs down a little bit. I think the whole thing kind of needs to shift over and this way. But it looks decent. I'm glad I went with the original look. I think that's gonna look nice. I'm still missing a seam up here. I didn't want to do anything that was like, that if I had to rip out, I had to rip out double. All the zippers are in already. So this seam actually does overlap, so it'll get folded kind of nice and tidy like. And then that'll go around that corner there. I actually cut off one of the corners off the original tent and took it in and took it apart to see how they did it. So all 4 corners are the same as the way they were done from the factory. And I put these in like they were in the factory. And both of those. So there's a little spot where this kind of turns up into the tubing, and then you just wrap it. Tried to do it as close to the original as I possibly could. I think we are ready to sew that big monster in. I have the sides and everything just kind of loosely fitted, pinned. Obviously all of this stuff here gets hemmed and tucked under. There are grommets that go on that. There are snaps that go on that. But I think alignment wise, we're pretty good. I've got this side pulled up so I don't rip my pins out. So I've just pulled the canvas up off of the pole. Here I actually have it pulled up just a little bit but when you get it pinned off, that should line up right on the pole. I think that'll be good. We've got quite a bit of sag in the roof line, so that tells me when all my snaps and everything are on, this will get pulled down quite a bit. Working with canvas is a challenge because you have to kind of anticipate, once you get it pulled taut, where things are going to end up. So it's kind of a guessing game. And sometimes you guess wrong. Oh, we're getting there. I tell you, this door has been a real challenge for me. I'm usually pretty good about thinking through things like this, and man, this has been difficult. I don't know why. It's really not that hard. So you've got a flap sewn for the door we've got rolled up. That's this flap with a zipper. And each side has a flap that hides the zipper. So this one has one on the front, like this door. And then there's one on the back. Then you get another set for the screen door. And then inside is a pole, a support pole that goes in a little sleeve that I had to create. I'll show you that. Let me zip up. I'll zip up this door and show you that. So inside there is this little pocket that's sewn, and there are these rods that are welded to the framing. And then down on the floor, there's a hole that goes in. So the door is supported with these poles, which is kind of cool. But it really makes it a challenge to sew because you've got that. And then you step out here. So I had to sew that. We get a flap for the screen, flap for the door that's rolled up. And then each of those goes around the hinge with a little decorative doodad. And then I have to make the panel that's behind all that, that's all attached to, also gets a little decorative thing, and there's two snaps that go in on it. So I've got that strip up here for the outer room right here, and it's got the O-ring, D-ring clip-on inside where you put the awning onto it that would come out. And we want to sew that before we sew any panels on the front part of this canvas, because if I go ahead and sew this panel on, I've got to basically wrestle this whole section through the machine in order to get up to that, to sew that on. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on, then we'll go ahead and tag on these side pieces and we'll pin this whole thing up as one panel. And what I do is I start in the middle and I work my way down, because then if you have any extra left over, because so much of this tent is focused on the center point, so then if I have any extra left over, the extra ends up on the ends, and then I will turn the fabric wrong side out and we do the same thing on this side. Just thought I'd show real quick what I was talking about. This is the add-a-room strip, so you can see I only have to work in that much through the machine by not having that front door panel sewn on. Starting in the middle, the machine's going to feed, it's going to feed the fabric that direction. So we're going to sew this section first, and then I'll turn it the other way, and I'll just sew by feel. I'll run my finger along the edge of this, and I'll be able to feel it on the other side. Probably won't be exactly on the line, but nobody's going to see it anyway, so it doesn't matter. But if I didn't do it that way, I have to feed all of that through the throat, this section of the machine right here. And that's just kind of hard to do. So it's getting pretty late. You can probably hear the critters in the background there. Yeah, it's about, I think, 1 o'clock in the morning or something like that. So I've been out here for a little while pinning all of this in where it goes. And I think it's pretty good. There's a couple places I need some help. Like I can't get a pin in right there. I have to have somebody go in tomorrow and push that out to me. I don't know if Mr. D's tall enough to reach that or not, but we're getting there. So basically tomorrow, all I have to do is sew all of that, and I went ahead and pinned the corners this time, and our down angle, pinned that. gonna wait till tomorrow to sew it because I'll do something dumb. It's getting late enough that I'll make a dumb mistake and then have to rip it out, and I really don't want to do that. And then I gotta go back in and come around and trim, put the snaps on and all that. And I was out for a run. I go running a lot at night. Do you hear this sound? Let me be quiet for a second. You hear that? Isn't that great? There's a hoot owl sounding off out there occasionally. And it's just a great time to run, I think. I like the stars, I like the moon, I like running at night. And tonight I was out running and my headlamp caught this rolled up sign that was in the middle of the road, rolled up just like this. It is this awesome heavy duty vinyl. And I'm not gonna, let's see, can I unroll it and not show you who it belonged to? Let's see. So it's not very big. It's probably 6 feet by, I don't know, 28 inches, 30 inches, something like that. But it will be perfect if I double it over. So take two arches and put it around and then sew the patch on. I think it's going to be absolutely perfect. It's super thick, heavy duty vinyl, and it's going to work just fine. The milk cartons would have just caused too much rigidity, I think, and that will have the flexibility. And it's not leather, so it's not going to shrink or stretch or do anything weird if it gets damp or wet. So we're going to use that to go in the corner and kind of make our durability patch, just to keep the wear and tear from happening there. There's a couple other places where it had those too that we'll work that piece of vinyl in. I always like when you find something free. See? That's why I go running at night. That one was just like laying right there, right in my, pretty much right outside my driveway. Just like the universe dropped it right there for me. Yeah, I've gone around and pinned everything that will get snapped and have a trim piece on it. And these little triangle patches, they get a snap on them. There's a snap back here in the corner. And so those will get a snap and those snap back. I did make a pretty egregious error, a giant boo-boo right here. This door isn't quite in alignment. I don't know if it's the poles that are off or what, but I didn't have the poles in. I kept cutting, thinking I gotta be getting close. I'm running out of room here. Yeah. So I gotta go in and come up with a way to hide that little doodad there. Nice, huh? I'm like, Marce, seriously? You big goof. But I think other than that, I've got it all patched up and ready to go. So everything will just get hemmed up. I've got the back all done as well. The wind has caught it and flipped it up, but corner patches, same thing there. Get a snap, get pushed in. And then I'll do the little arches using my free vinyl that I got before we go any further. And I think we're pretty well ready to call this one a win. So I'll do that, bring it back out, and we'll figure out where the snaps go. I'm not going to mark them right now, just because I'll sew it, and then we'll come back out and I'll go in with a white pencil, and we'll mark where they need to go, because I want it to pull as tight as it can without popping a snap off. So I'll have to do that after we've kind of got all this sewed and I figure out what I'm going to do right here. I'm going to change this up a little bit. I'll show you what I'm going to do with that. I think I'm ready to wrangle this off yet again and get it kind of to the point where we can call it done. What a job. And then I'm going to put a piece of webbing. I'm going to sew a piece of webbing into this corner. I've got it popped up right now just to make it where I could adjust those center pieces. But I want to put a piece of webbing here, and then I'm going to make that where it will attach kind of down. I can open this up with one hand or not. Nope. It'll attach down to that. So if I sew a piece of webbing there, pull it down to where it ratchets there, hopefully we can pull that down over the corner without using the sharp corner. to pull it taut. So these will just lap over tight, but not tight enough to pull that down. So I'm afraid what's going to happen, we're going to wear a hole in the canvas. Well, it's starting to come along. The snaps are all I have left. I have gone in and put my rods in. I need a grommet right here. So there'll be a single grommet there that pulls that piece back. And I don't have my corner patches in yet, so that's going to affect some of that corner, but it's looking pretty good. This piece, I have it just kind of flop down so I don't have a tight enough bungee to suck it back up. So that'll be straight. I like it. I mean, it's not drum tight, but it's pretty tight. And I haven't touched this side over here yet. So I still have, I just put a rod, just a steel rod. I'll have to spray paint these or something. And then I just melted like a U shape access point and then bungeed that back. So I was concerned that this wouldn't want to sit where it should sit, so I sewed a, I ain't not gonna be able to see it because of the light. Hang on a second. So I sewed a strap up to the canvas up on top, put it on a latch that goes down to our bed so we can adjust that tension as the tent kind of shrink stretches, which this material does not budge hardly at all, honestly. You get some after it's been on there for, I don't know, the Apache we've camped in probably 3 years, and there's just a little bit, but you can see the roof line's pretty good. Don't have much sag at all. And this canvas will just kind of stay that way. It's not the neighbors this time, it's us mowing while I'm filming. Yeah. It's the way it rolls around here. Well, here's the first view with the snaps on. Snap on, snap off. There are a few that I wish I'd have kind of put in a different spot, but it looks okay. Tried to kind of keep this side even with that side on where they were in relation to the strip. I forgot to put a snap right there, so that's kind of pulling out. This side looks good. I got all the snaps on it. I missed one on the underside over there. But it looks pretty good. I've got just weak bungees kind of tying everything up, so I think once we get the tight shock cord in, like all this floppiness will get pulled up. Plus I put a grommet in, where is it, right there. So this will get sucked back pretty tight as well. Put the corner things in, protect the corners from getting cut up. So I think we're done. I'll show you the back side here where the snaps are on it. Yeah, like all this stuff will get tucked up once we kind of get the real shock cord in, or the real bungee cord in. This snap is not dead center of the trailer. It's a 1/2 inch that way, which of course drives me crazy. It'll drive Mr. D nuts too. If you actually look straight on the tongue of the trailer, which is straight, you can see it, you can tell that it's off. I didn't realize it till I went to put the snaps on. I would have moved this line over if I had realized that. Oh well, it is where it needs to be, so we're gonna call it good. Thinking maybe a grommet here too, just to kind of suck that part back up. I don't like how that's kind of floppy there. Once we get the real stuff on that goes on, it'll be a lot tighter. I like it. It's the best I can do with the supplies and everything that I have, so I don't think I could do much better, except for maybe not boo-boo up the front. We probably need to work on puffing that out a little bit. Shift everything kind of a little bit. That's the thing with canvases, you got to get them exactly right, or you have little wrinkles. This line's nice though. I like this line up here. It hits good on the other side too. Yeah, I like it. And then to flip this up, you just release. There's going to be 2 bungees. I cut them in right here. So you'll just release the hook on those, and then this entire side, so from there to there, the entire thing will flip up. Kind of neat. Doesn't have a screen in it on the whole thing flipped up, but still looks pretty cool. And a lot of times you see people with them set up using it as their camp kitchen, like with it like that. I'll step back a little bit. Yeah, best I can do. I might be able to be a little more precise on the stitching as far as my widths on everything. But I gotta go back through and erase all my pencil lines. You can kind of see my pencil lines. And it's just dirty where I've stepped on it and drug it out here. And so I'll go through and clean it off. The nice thing about this stuff, it cleans off real easily. Just take a wet or a damp towel and it just brushes right off. Got started on fabbing up the holes for the rover, cleaned the back of it out. It had a bunch of engines in it. Found spaces for all of those. That's about a third of what I had in here. So I think I should be able to fab this up pretty quickly. It's not that difficult. So we'll go through that as well. And then once we get this gal all figured out, we'll figure out how we're gonna hook that to that. All right, everyone, with that, I'm gonna sign off. Thanks for being here, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks, everybody. Just kind of wanted to see what it looked like with one of the windows up. I don't have the string in the Roman shade loops yet. I have the bar in there, but I don't have the string in. It looks pretty cool with the window up. I like it. Rims need some attention though. After you've kind of renewed everything else, you realize all the things that still need work.